We are back for the second segment of the Glazov gang that's going to be even more riveting and like an on-the-edge-of-your-seat thriller this time, guaranteed. We're back with Dr. Siegemund, Dwight Schultz, and Becca Keating. Welcome back again to the Glazov gang.
Thank you.
We've got Becca's wonderful new book about bullying, and during the break, Dwight decided that he was going to apologize to me for bullying me throughout the last couple years on the Glazov gang. Okay, so you said you were going to, but you're not.
I lied.
Ladies and gentlemen, a few in-house matters. Oh, by the way, Reza or Annie want to apologize?
No.
No apologies anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, a few in-house matters first. We've introduced a multicultural segment to the program where we speak different languages or tell stories. And Karen, do you speak any other languages?
I do.
Which languages?
I grew up speaking French and German both.
Could you say something in German? Because our German audience is skyrocketing.
Really? Guten Abend, freut mich sehr, hier zu sein.
That's not nice to say about Dwight.
It's actually extremely nice.
Okay, and what does it mean?
Good evening. I'm very happy to be here this evening.
Excellent. And Becca, what languages do you speak?
Well, I could say hi in a lot of them, like Arabic or Japanese.
Really? You speak Japanese?
Yeah.
Okay, say something in Japanese if you don't
Oh,
mind.
konnichiwa. Iki desu ka?
That's fantastic.
Arigato.
And what does that mean?
Hello, how are you?
That's
Thank
excellent.
you very much.
And where did you say that again, please?
Arigato is a thank you very much. Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa.
And where did you learn that?
In Tokyo.
Wow, and when did you live in Tokyo?
Let's see, back in the late 80s.
Very interesting.
Early
And what were you
90s.
doing there?
Actually, we were there teaching English at the Temple University.
Fantastic.
With my children.
Dwight, I'm almost afraid, but is it possible to seriously speak another language?
I speak Hai Phong.
Okay, can I hear it? That's a little bit politically. Okay, Dwight, it's a little bit. Okay, Dwight, thank you. That's a little bit politically incorrect, but I think we'll keep that in the segment. Thank you very much, Glazov gang members. I'm very impressed with just the intensity and the peak of knowledge and culture here. Let us get back to the serious issues of our time. The totalitarianism at the heart of the Obama scandals. Okay, so denial about Benghazi not telling us anything. Verizon, IRS, etc., etc., etc. Becca, are you scared, and what do you think is going on with all these scandals lately?
Well, I'm not surprised, to tell you the truth. You know, when you have a bad guy, simplistically put, he exhibits bad behavior. And so I'm not surprised that scandals are kind of oozing out. Unfortunately, we're hearing about them. We're calling them on it, you know, and saying, what happened there? Why, you know?
Who's we?
Oh, the American public. And
okay,
the
but
Senate,
some segments of the liberal media, like the New York Times, have surprisingly broken the party line. What do you think of that?
Well, as far as exposing...
Yeah, like being a little bit critical of their earthly messiah.
Oh, yeah, that was a kind of a shock, and but a good one. And I think that maybe they're kind of waking up. But then, what was it? Obama came into some situation and made some statements, and the media went like, ooh, you know, like as long as we're doing our job exposing the good part of the Obama administration, we're fine.
Right.
But if we expose maybe some other aspects that are actually accurate and true, then we could be in trouble. But
Becca,
I think it's good.
You referred to Obama being a quote-unquote bad guy.
Yeah, that was a simple term.
But briefly, is he a bad guy, and why?
You know, I think he's deceptive. I don't think he tells us the truth. I think he's got an agenda. I think he's a bit of a puppet as well. I don't think he's all... I think there are those that manipulate him, but those are my suspicions.
And I would say you are correct, because I believe that a lot of people pulling the strings are the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Karen?
Yeah, I think that's true. The Muslim Brotherhood is exerting increasing control.
Yeah, I think it's a vicious circle because he's letting them in,
Yes. Right.
and then right?
Yeah. It's
But go ahead.
definitely snowballing. As far as all these scandals, though, I also am not surprised. We all knew when he came in, bad guy, good guy, whatever, that we knew what his view of the world was, and that his view of America was that a strong America is not a good thing to have. That we elected a man president of this country who really saw us as a force of, I don't want to use the word evil, but certainly not of good. Globally, geopolitically, we've never done anything good. We were a colonial power, we abused power, so on and so forth. How one can elect as president of a country a man who does not believe in all that's good about
It's
that
tragic.
country is astonishing, and then to do it a second time.
Yeah.
Yes, it is the media that continues to hide many of these scandals that are now coming out. That the scandals occur, again, are not surprising. That he would use the power of the IRS to target the enemy, which is us. That they would go after press records, as the Department of Justice did. That they refuse, it's not just Benghazi and covering it up, that this administration refused repeated requests for aid in the weeks, hours leading up to the attack on the mission in Benghazi.
Right.
And the media never covered, is still not acknowledging that. They're still covering it up. Anything you can come up with that has to do with some downside of this administration, they're not reporting.
Karen, as an expert on the media, Becca gave us a little bit of hope that maybe there's a little bit of an awakening, and we do see maybe a little bit from ABC, a little bit from New York Times. But are these just pebbles and it'll go away and they're going to leave their secular deity or messiah alone? Or will some liberals finally have some conscience and start doing what the media is supposed to do?
I think we have seen little bits of openings every now and then. SNL every now and then will do a funny skit denouncing Obama. CBS sometimes rises up and then sinks back into the quagmire. New York Times did have that piece the other day, and then they sort of backpedaled on it. I think it takes tremendous courage for them to stand up. The only time I really saw them really angry was right after the AP record seizure was exposed, and then they pretended, I don't know, maybe it was legitimate, to have this outrage about being lied to about Benghazi.
Yeah.
That was the one press conference I remember where there was real outrage by others other than the Fox News reporter. But I think they will take the path of least resistance. They really will. I think in their core they are liberals. I think in their core they are progressive. In their core they want him to achieve the goals that he wants. For him to succeed, Chris Matthews, I'll do whatever I can.
Yeah.
I think he just voiced what a lot of them think. I really think it's up to us, and that's why Rage Against the Media exists, to put all kinds of pressure in every way possible on others and on the media to do right by us.
Thank you, Karen. And what a tragedy, and I think it's criminal, that after 4 Americans were murdered in Benghazi and that were pleading for help,
Yes.
the help was told to stand down.
Yes.
We still don't know what happened. Americans died. Obama lied. And who's been punished? A filmmaker
Right.
who's still sitting
He's
in
in
prison.
jail, yeah.
Dwight, we gave you a little bit of a timeout because of your imitation of, not completely
Imitation.
sure what that
I
was.
spoke Haifang. What's wrong with that?
Okay. Dwight, your thoughts on these scandals, the cover-ups, and the shameless and shameful silence of our media?
Well, it has been, it's an astonishing thing to have, it's like watching a mass murderer, a serial killer, kill one individual after the other, and no one in the police department investigate the murders. There was once a satire in The Onion that said if there had been a murder in the White House, there would be no questions asked of the president about the murder. I mean, it was a satire. I think he is murdering the country. He says things, he appoints people. I mean, think about it. We lost 85,000 Americans in 2 wars fighting communists, and he appoints a communist. When Glenn Beck exposed this guy for what he was, and Valerie Jarrett said, we've had our eyes on Van Jones for a long time. Van Jones moved got out of there very quickly. The president never had to answer the question, why did you appoint him? Why? Never did. And the media covered for it. Oh, he was way down the list. No, he was the Green Czar. The Green Czar, who was to every single department of government, the CIA, the State Department, the faith-based outreach, everybody had a global warming plank because of this president. Yet he never had to answer. Cass Sunstein, who's married to Samantha Power, who wrote Climate Change Justice, he openly crowed about how he was going to destroy this country by choking it with regulations. So he leaves office. Suddenly we have 6,000 new regulations have just come down the pipe.
Yeah.
And no, the president doesn't have to say why and who did it.
Dwight,
Hold accountable.
and he's appointed Samantha Power to
Right.
replace Rice at the United Nations.
Right.
And am I
Who?
correct?
Rice?
And am I correct that one of her ideas, brilliant ideas, is to use American troops and American military
Right.
power in the Middle East, in Israel,
Right.
to act against Israel.
Responsibility to protect.
Yeah, but against Israeli interests on the side of the terrorists and the PLO.
And now let me ask you
the
this,
Hamas,
and
etc.
From just a basic standpoint, again, the president never has to answer to this. She married Cass Sunstein. He appoints Cass Sunstein. Who is Cass Sunstein? He believes that chimps and gorillas have the same rights that you do. He does.
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All of us.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying that this is outrageous.
Right.
And he has done what he threatened to do.
Yes.
I mean, these little totalitarians are the people that this president has appointed, and the media has never questioned any appointment that he's made. Never.
Thank you, Dwight. And as our motto at front page says, the creation of David Horowitz's brilliant mind, within every liberal is a totalitarian screaming to get out. Let's use this as a transition to very recently, John Kerry now is giving, Secretary Kerry just gave $1.3 billion to the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt that is on the rooftop screaming that they want to destroy the United States. How do we add this up? Becca?
That's a good question. I'm bewildered by that. You know, if I were the CEO of the United States or the Senate, I would fire the guy. But for some reason, he thought it was okay to go ahead and do that, even though there were other things that might lead you to think that that was not a wise release of money. To me,
But it's
this makes me and it leaves me livid, knowing the economy of our United States and how we could have utilized that money here. But it's part of that agenda that I feel is the underlying current within this administration. Of a lot of what you alluded to is as far as not liking the United States as it is and as it has been, but wanting to change it. Remember how he talked
Transform
about
it.
his transformation of this country, and it is not. It is so subtle. It's like the what is it, the frog in the pan, and you heat up the pan, the frogs still stay there. So it's a travesty, I think.
Thank you. And the agenda here, Beck, is exactly like you're saying, but hey, in some ways, no surprise. Right when Obama got into office, goes to Egypt, front two rows he reserves for the Muslim Brotherhood. God forbid, when the Iranian people go out into the streets and want to overthrow Islamic fascism, he's on the side of the dictators, doesn't support the students. When Egyptians are in the streets and want to overthrow Mubarak, he tells Mubarak he has to move aside. Then when Egyptians act against Morsi, he gets on the phone and says, Morsi, and this is after Morsi made himself a dictator by canceling out the power of the judiciary. Obama gets on the phone and says, Morsi, I'm sending you the F-16s. So he is shaking the hands of the enemies of the United States. Your thoughts on this disaster in the Middle East, Karen?
Absolutely right. And really, the entire Arab Spring was started because of our president's position of appeasement of all things Muslim. His Egyptian, his Cairo speech, right? At every possible turn, he has empowered those who hate us and weakened those who are allied with us. He has empowered those who impose totalitarian regimes. laws that are counter to everything that we believe in, everything that's counter to democracy, and wherever possible, where democracy, in fact, wants to rise, as you mentioned in Iran, he will suppress it. He gives back the bust of Churchill. In no way does he support those who believe in democracy, and in every conceivable way, he supports those who believe in totalitarianism, including here.
Terrible. Glazov gangsters, we are out of time. Dwight, final words on this issue?
Look at what he's doing with Erdogan over there in Turkey now. He's not
That's
said
right.
anything. He's not made any public comments. And he has said he's one of his closest friends. That's my closest friend in the Middle East. And you can see at every turn, he really doesn't care about the people. He's concerned about the ideology that the Muslim Brotherhood brings to the Middle East. And so when Qaradawi said jihad must happen in Syria, you're not going to find our head of the CIA, Brennan, making any comments about it. Nor are you going to see the president comment on that which does not exist. And there's no one in the media who will.
Thank you. And you know what's so scary? I've moved down here from Canada. This is Los Angeles. When I walk around talking about how frightened I am about these things with the average people in LA, 80% of them either don't care or are horrified that I'm criticizing Obama.
Right.
15
clueless.
seconds left. Final words, 15 seconds each, please. Becca, final words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom. I would say be discerning. Look at all the options. Buy the book. Read the book.
Thank you. Karen?
I would add, pay attention. Get your news from as many sources as possible. Well, with the exception of the mainstream media, ignore them. Join us at Rage Against the Media and help combat exactly what Jamie just said, the ignorance that's out there. It's appalling.
Dwight Schultz, 3 seconds.
Susan Rice is not the national security advisor. Right?
Glazov gang members, thank you very much for joining the Glazov gang.
Thank you.
Karen Siegemund, go to her organization, Rage Against the Machine.
Mickey.
Oh, excuse me.
Rage
Oh,
Against the Media.
that's the
The other
that's the
one.
group. Sorry, Rage Against the Media. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Becca Keating, The Secrets of Powerful Communication, Confronting the Bully Within. Get it? It's in bookstores and of course on Amazon.com.
Yes, at Amazon, but you can go to beccakeating.net. Get it from
Excellent.
there.
And Dwight Schultz, fansite.nl.
That's right.
We'll see you next week on the Glazov Gang.